Hello and welcome, my name is Sarah and I create multi-tutorials for The Sims 4. In today's video we're gonna go over the TDESC Builder by Lot51. So this is a web browser where you can create your own mods or use it as a template if you prefer to create your mods in The Sims 4 Studio. So let's open the web browser and let's get to it. So when you go to the TDESC Builder for the very first time, this is what you are greeted with. Now, there are two options here. The first things I want to go over is that we have a builder, which if you hover over it, it says edit tuning, or you got the read tuning description, which is the TDESC. And now what the main difference is between these two is if we are in the builder, we could actually edit anything that we want in here and just change things, whatever we want to do. And then if we click on the TDESC, we don't get the XML. Instead, we could click on these and then see what this little section does, or click on this or on this, so we could see it in its own little section. But I definitely prefer to use the builder option where we can see it all. And again, if you just click on it here, we could see in its own little section. Now, what else can we do in here? We have the open tuning or package, which means if you click on that, you can open any package file that you have on your computer. Import EA tuning means we could import anything from the game itself. We can search for what we're looking for, or we can like filter it by the type or by pack. So let's say I can type in here as well. Let's say I'm looking for a trait, so I'll just type in trait and then select trait. And then I'm like, I think it's gonna be a trait or from Parenthood, or no, maybe it was Realm of Magic. If you're not sure, you could select as many as you want. And then you get all the different files from game that are filtered by traits, and then the 3 packs that I selected: Parenthood, Jungle Adventure, and Realm of Magic. So this is just a very handy tool to search for whatever you're trying to find. I use this all the time, and this is like the main thing that I use with the TDESC Builder. And then next to it, we got the create from template, which will give you just a few templates, which are just things that are used very, very often. Like for example, this basic hidden buff, which is a hidden buff, and you can just use this as a template. Very simple. Same if you are trying to create a confident buff, it already gives you like the little buff categories and all of that you might need, so you don't have to search for things for a really long time, and you can easily just use these as a template, and then you just click on import or import and edit. Then we got the search EA strings, and now strings of course is text. If I click on that, we get all the text in game. Now we could go with locals and then select the language you're looking for, but mine's just set on English. We could also search by pack if we wanted to. Then we got search EA images, which is also very, very handy because here we could find every single image that is in the game. Now we could also see if an image, for example, is pack specific, like this buff muddy is from the expansion pack 05, which I think is seasons, but don't quote me on that. It's just the 5th expansion pack that came out. I'm guessing it's seasons because here we have snow, so I am guessing it's seasons. But yeah, you could easily find what you're looking for, so that's also very handy. And then we get settings. Now in the settings, you could just change things the way you want. Very important to change this to your creator name. So in my case, it's xosdr. And then you can just change some other things. I just leave this as it is. If you are just using the TDESC Builder for the very first time, this might be set to 4, I believe, and I changed it to 2 because that is the way the Sims 4 Studio does it, and it makes it easier for me to like copy and paste. But definitely have a good read through the settings and change the things that you want to change. And scrolling further down, we have the recent updates. Now here we get all the updates that are added to the TDESC Builder. And as we can see here, the last update included the businesses and hobbies tuning references. And then for some more information, click on About and have a read through this. Now, if we do not want to use any of the in-game files as our template, which means we don't want to click on here, search for something similar, and then import and edit it. If we don't want to do this, we could go here to this section over here, the TDESC, and we could scroll through and just see every single option of everything that is available to do for the game. Now some of these have a little plus next to it, and this just means something new is added. Then if we click on it, and it will open the tuning section, and then if we scroll further down, we will see another plus sign over here, and this just means this is new in the latest version. Now let's say for whichever mod we are creating, we are working on a action loot. In that case, I would go into actions, and then we can see the different kind of loot actions that are available. If you have something you use quite often in your game, you could easily just click on it and then say favorite. All you have to do is just go to favorites, and it will show everything that you selected as favorite. Now going into the random weighted loots, I'm going to use this as my template. Now, for example, we've asked our sim to borrow some monies. Now the easiest outcome is to use the random weighted loot. Now what is so great about the TDESC Builder is that I don't have to think really about how to set this all up. It's quite simple because it's already given to you what you need to do. So going with that idea of we are receiving a random amount of money, I'm gonna go into the random loot actions, then I'm going to open that and select this. Now if I click this button over here, it will suddenly now appear over here. Then we are going into actions over here, and then if I click on this button over here where it currently says none, we get everything that we could do with this loot. So look at that, there is a whole list. But like I said, we are doing money, so I'm just going to type in money, and then it says money loot. Now, as you might have noticed already, if I hover over these, it will give us a little tooltip of what this actually does. So it's not just for the money, but it's for every single thing. It will explain to you what this option does. So once I've selected money, it will automatically include it. So now we have random loot actions, then we have our action, and then we have a money loot, and then money. Now I'm just going to go into the amount and then make sure to also select that, select this, and select this, and I'm going to say 50. So what it says now is that the first option we got is that we might receive 50 simoleons. Now we could even add a notification if we wanted to, which is quite helpful to add, for example, to just say, oh, we received 50 simoleons from this person. Then while you're playing the game, you actually know how much money that the other sim gave your sim. And then there's also a option for a chance. So what is the chance that we would actually be able to receive 50? You could go as crazy as possible. So 100 means there's a 100% chance that your sim will receive the 50 simoleons. But you could, for example, add a test to it. I'm going to add a trade test, and then let's whitelist a trade and then change the multiplier to 2, which now would read is that if my sim is a snob, they would have a 200% chance that they will receive the 50 simoleons. Now the chance is fully optional, and I'm just going to remove it for now. Now, because this is a random loot, I wouldn't really add a chance. I would personally just go with tests that are in here. Now, this test will not give you a chance. This test would just say if we would go with the snob trait again and be like, oh, my sim is a snob, so they would never receive 50 simoleons or something. Instead, they would receive the other option, or any of the other options that are available. So like this, if I add the test, it now says if my sim has the trait snob, they would never receive the 50 simoleons. Now, once we have done that, we could create another one, another option. And as you can see right away, it's set 100% over here, and now it changed to 50 and 50 because now there's a 50% chance. So we could go in again and then again say the money, and then I'm going to make this like 500 simoleons or something. So what we have created now is we've created a random loot where you can either receive 50 or 500 simoleons. If your sim is a snob, they would never receive 50 simoleons. They will always receive 500 simoleons. But then there is one other thing about these random loots is we could add a weight to it. So the higher the weight, the more chance it is that your sim will receive the one with the higher weight to it. And then like I showed earlier about the multipliers, we could actually add that in the weight, which would make more sense than adding it into the chance. It kind of works the same, but for a random loot, it's definitely better to add it to the weight and not to the chance. Now, if we look at these numbers, there is now a 83% chance that my sim will receive 50 simoleons instead of the 500 simoleons. So there's a 17% chance that my sims will receive 500 simoleons. Now, if my sim has the snob trait, they will still always receive the 500 simoleons. Now, why did I show you guys how to create this random loot? Not just because I want to show you how awesome random loots are. No, I wanted to make sure you understand how easy it is to actually create something you really want. By just clicking these arrows and having a read of every single thing, which is also, again, here we have a little description about it, or if we just click on that, there's another description. It is so great, this website. It makes it so much easier to create your own mods and not having to try to find everything in the Sims 4 Studio manually, which was driving me crazy. So once I started to create Road to Wealth, I've used this so much, this website. And how I just use it, I create something like this in here. And then what I normally do is I just copy from L to L and then paste it into my Sims 4 Studios. Now we could of course copy this whole thing from I to I, but I like to change the name in the Sims 4 Studio, but you could just do whatever you want. And using the TDESC Builder as a baseline for your mod, as a template, is so great. Now, what else could we do? If we want to create our very own mod within the TDESC Builder, we could do that as well. So I just added a third option, and this third option, instead of receiving money, our sim will in this case receive a buff. Now I use the template mode to create this angry buff over here. So we're just gonna make sure to add this angry buff into our random weighted loot. Now to do this, we're just gonna go and open buff. So I'm going to click on select reference, and then I'm going into tabs, and then here is the buff we have over here. So I'm going to click on that, and then it will add that buff in here. Now, I did not personalize this buff or anything, but let's just imagine it's a buff our sim received because the other sim does not want to give us any money. Now, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a higher weight than the 500 simoleons. So there's a higher chance that we will receive the angry buff from the 500 simoleons. Now I could also add a multiplier, and I'm going to do that and say as a relationship. And then I've added the special bits enemy, and then I'm going to say multiplier 5. Now what's happening is that if our sims are enemies, there's a higher chance that they will receive the angry buff instead of anything else. So that is how you can add something that you've also created in the TDESC builder into another file that you've also created. That was a whole mouthful. Now if we go into file, we could say download package file, and then we will be downloading all the tabs that are currently open. So in this case we have the random weighted loot, and then we have the basic visible angry. So we could even unselect something if we don't want it. And then we could change the name in here to whatever you want to name the package file. So I'm just going to call it mod tutorials and then download it. Now, if we wanted to, we could open that very same file into the Sims 4 Studio. So here I've opened it. We have our random weighted loot, and then we have here our angry buff, and here we have our angry buff. So once it is exported, it will also come with its own sim data. So you're actually not creating a sim data inside of the TDESC builder, but it will export it when you are exporting your package file. Now you can also just download your XML or your sim data by itself, and you could do this by clicking on download tuning or download sim data. But that was it for this video. I hope it was helpful and you've learned something new about the TDESC builder. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below, or if I skipped over something, like I think I've gone over everything, but I might have skipped a couple of things. But yeah, let me know. Don't forget to give this video a like if it was helpful, and subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about Sims 4 modding. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye!